Ever since the ink dried on this new CBA, fans and analysts have been buzzing with speculation. Are the days of dynasties in the NBA truly over? Did CJ McCollum, out of jealousy and envy, kill the NBA? This offseason, those whispers have turned into outcries as multiple teams hit the brakes on major moves. Wary of potential fallout from the new cap rules, many fans have been left confused as teams, fans, members of the media keep shouting the terms luxury tax, first apron, second apron, but in reality, it's all quite simple. For the upcoming 24-25 NBA season, the minimum team salary in the NBA is roughly $127 million, and the salary cap is roughly $141 million. The NBA salary cap is a limit on how much money an NBA team can spend on players' payroll each season. This does not include coaches, but only players. Out of the 4 major leagues in America, the NBA is the only league that uses a soft cap. The NFL and the NHL use a hard cap, and the MLB has no cap. What this means is that teams with a hard cap can't spend over the salary cap. A soft cap allows teams to go over the salary cap, but will subject the team to reduced privileges in free agency and higher taxes known as the luxury tax. The luxury tax has been around in the NBA since the 2001 season after the 1998 lockout. For the 24-25 season, the NBA salary tax kicks in after a team crosses the salary of $172 million. At the creation of this video, there's currently about 15 teams in the NBA who are not in the luxury tax. Those teams are in order of cheapest payroll to most expensive, and those teams are the Utah Jazz, Detroit Pistons, San Antonio Spurs, Orlando Magic, Charlotte Hornets, Oklahoma City Thunder, Memphis Grizzlies, Washington Wizards, Cleveland Cavaliers, Houston Rockets, Chicago Bulls, Portland Trail Blazers, Sacramento Kings, Toronto Raptors, Indiana Pacers, and the Brooklyn Nets. The teams that are currently in the luxury tax are the New Orleans Pelicans, the Atlanta Hawks, the New York Knicks, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Dallas Mavericks, the Golden State Warriors, and the Philadelphia 76ers. After the luxury tax, you hit the first apron. The first apron is roughly $179 million. The first apron comes with more restrictions unlike the luxury tax. Once a team hits the first apron, the team is barred from orchestrating a sign-and trade. A sign-and trade allows NBA teams to sign a free agent and then immediately trade them. You're probably wondering why a team would use a sign-and trade when a player is a free agent. But a sign-and trade benefits both parties. The team signing the player can offer a larger contract than allowed through free agency, while the team losing the player can gain something in return for the player. LeBron's infamous decision to leave Cleveland for Miami, a lot of people think it was free agency, but in actuality, it was a sign-and trade. LeBron was able to secure a supermax with the Cavs due to being drafted by them, and Cleveland having his bird rights. Bird rights means teams are able to exceed the salary cap to re-sign their own free agent at an amount up to the maximum salary. And to qualify as a bird agent, a player must have played 3 seasons without being waived or changing teams as a free agent. In exchange for LeBron, the Cavs received a 2011 second-round pick, a 2012 second-round pick, a 2013 first-round pick, a 2016 first-round pick, and $16 million in cap space. In addition to not being able to do a sign-and trade, teams cannot do trade exceptions. A trade exception is when a team trades out more salary than they receive. This effectively gives the team a coupon to absorb future players' salaries, known as a trade exception. These coupons are a great tool for teams above the salary or above the luxury to build their team. With trade exceptions, you can't stack them though to absorb one player's contract. When the Mavs trade Davis Bertans and the number 10 pick to the Oklahoma City Thunder for the 12th pick, the Mavs received a $17.5 million trade exception. The Mavs then used this trade exception to acquire Richaun Holmes and the 24th overall pick from the Sacramento Kings. Finally, teams are not allowed to take money back in trades. The teams currently in the first apron are the Denver Nuggets, Miami Heat, and the Los Angeles Lakers. After the first apron, we have the second apron. The second apron has been what everyone is talking about and what scares most NBA teams. In addition to increased taxes, there's even more restrictions on teams that are in the first apron. First, teams are not allowed to trade cash. Second, teams must send out more money than they receive in trades. Third, you have no access to buyout players. 4, you can only sign players on the minimum. 5, you can't aggregate salaries in trade. This means you can't trade 2 $15 million players for a $30 million player. In addition, you can't sign players on an MLE contract. An MLE contract is a contract used by contending teams to sign vets at the end of their career who will take less money in hopes of winning a championship. Lastly, but most importantly, teams in the second apron are not allowed to trade picks that are 7 years away, as they automatically become frozen. In addition to that, if a team spends more than 2 years in the second apron, those picks automatically move to the end of the first round. This essentially messes up a team's long-term future, as they won't have valuable picks to draft talent, or they won't be able to make trades using those picks as assets. The teams currently in the second apron are the Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics, Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Phoenix Suns. This new CBA has definitely had a major effect on this offseason, as we can see a multitude of teams not make major moves this offseason. The Miami Heat have made no major moves to maximize the little time they have left with this Jimmy Butler window. The Los Angeles Clippers had to let Paul George go, as giving him a new contract would force them into the dreaded second apron. The Lakers have said they don't believe the 3-star model works in the current CBA, as fans have asked them to make moves for Trae Young. In addition, they recently reworked LeBron's extension so they were not in the second apron and could make moves to build a championship roster. The Warriors had to let Klay Thompson go, as they could not offer him money he wanted without going into the second apron. In back-to-back seasons, we saw the Nuggets lose 2 key role players in Bruce Brown and KCP. And finally, we saw Jalen Brunson take a $100 million pay cut with the Knicks so they could afford to build a championship roster around him. During this offseason, we've seen a lot of finger-pointing and blaming, as fans are frustrated on their respective teams' lack of moves, but who's to blame? A lot of fans blame the Players Association, but more importantly, CJ McCollum has bared the brunt of the blame, as he is the NBA Players Association president. But when looking at this CBA, the players' money has not been affected, unless players take pay cuts to build championship contending rosters. Will it be harder for the star players like LeBron, whose legacy depends on rings to win? Yes, but they don't represent the majority of the league. I believe that the majority of the blame goes to the owners, as they were worried about the richest owners taking advantage of their wealth and blowing the competition out in terms of spending. In addition to this, I believe the owners were jealous of the Warriors dynasty and put in place the CBA to prevent future dynasties. I worry the owners made it impossible for teams who want to spend and who want to win to be able to compete at the highest level for an extended period of time. As this CBA looms over the future of the NBA, it leaves us with many questions. Will the Oklahoma City Thunder, a homegrown team with the talents of SGA, Chet, and JDub, be broken up in the future due to these current CBA regulations? Will the Spurs be able to afford to build around Wemby when he starts to reach his peak? Because we know he's going to get that Supermax contract. Will the Mavericks be able to continuously compete with Luka due to these CBA regulations? I wish I had the answer, but the CBA lasts until the 2029-2030 season. But both sides have the ability to opt out in the 2028 to 2029 NBA season. Ultimately, we will see how this plays out over the coming years. Comment on what you think the future of the NBA would look like due to this current CBA. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.